Hello YouTube, and welcome to the Nerd Corner. I'm Josh.
And I'm Matt.
And today we'll be reviewing Guardians of the Future Past Galaxy Avengers.
I look around, you know what I see? Losers. But life's giving us a chance. To do what? Something good? Something bad? A bit of both.
Hi, once again, welcome to the Nerd Corner. Now, Guardians of the Galaxy came out August 1st. High expectations going in.
Huge
Expectations. This followed up Marvel's Captain America 2, Winter Soldier.
It followed up. It had to follow up.
Yeah, it had to follow up. Fantastic movie, by the way, Captain America 2. At the time, was my favorite Marvel movie.
At the time.
At the time. But then I saw Guardians of the Galaxy, and I had a tough time figuring out where this movie was going to place. But after talking with people and discussing the movie more, it takes my number one spot of the summer.
Oh.
Definitely of the summer, if not all-time Marvel.
All-time Marvel. Like better than the Avengers, better than... Which, by the way, we're going to review Phase 2 in a later video.
Yes. But getting to Guardians, getting the heart and meat of it, James Gunn did a wonderful job. Getting this cast together, writing this script.
Getting Michael Rooker.
Getting Michael Rooker, who stole the movie.
In the pivotal role.
Yes.
As Yondu the Thief.
Yes. But I was blown away by Groot.
Groot.
I'm just gonna come out and say it. Groot stole my heart, and I think he stole America's heart.
I think it's kind of weird in the fact that Vin Diesel voiced Groot, and what's really weird about that is he says 3 words throughout the entire movie. Well, technically 4 words, but he says 3 words throughout the entire movie. I and Groot, as Rocket points out.
Yes.
And it's kind of funny because Vin Diesel's not the best actor in the world.
Yeah, we can all agree on that.
But in this movie and in Iron Giant, when he doesn't say hardly any lines, it comes across and it just brings a tear to your face.
You know, you watch so many movies, and the script writing's terrible,
Yeah.
and you can tell they're really trying, but they're failing at it. And with I Am Groot and Vin Diesel's voice, like, I don't know what it was exactly, but
he inflected it so well.
Yes.
I think that's one.
Well, actually, watching an interview, James Gunn in the script had I Am Groot on the left side, and then on the right side, what Groot actually meant. And he told Vin Diesel to enunciate, compact it down to the 3 words, so he's actually saying stuff. You know, people familiar with Groot in the comics can understand what he's saying.
Oh yeah.
Like Jean Grey's trying to read his thoughts in one comic, and he's actually saying how nice Earth is or whatever. But
huge monologue.
I Am Groot had gave me more emotion than most movies I've ever given me.
Right. It's kind of like the whole Wall-E thing.
Yes.
Honestly, it's like Wall-E says Wall-E and then Eva, and he's like the best character in that movie. And
I agree.
And well, to me, a really standout character was I really like Dave Bautista's.
Yes.
Yeah, I can't. A wrestling guy's.
Yeah.
Drax the Destroyer.
Of course.
For a wrestler, you think of really weird movies like The Marine and like stuff like that, and Dave Bautista did a really good job with Drax. He played it really straight arrow. He was honestly, to me, he was the comedy relief in the movie, in a movie full of comedy.
Yeah. No, he being so serious almost made him funnier than a lot of the other characters, and they were all funny.
They were funny,
but he was probably one of the funniest. We're introduced to Rocket and Groot in a very special way that I haven't seen in a lot of movies. It's very lighthearted. He's talking about this little kid, like getting help isn't, cool.
Yeah.
And he's just hating on everybody. And the dynamic between Groot and Rocket, there's such a good pairing of characters. And that's the first time also that same scene on the Nova Corps. What's the name of the Nova Corps?
Xandar.
Xandar. On Xandar, that's where you meet Gamora and Chris Pratt's character, Star-Lord, all together, and you really start to see this group forming, and none of them really like each other at first.
I thought what was really weird about Guardians was with the Avengers, right? That's an ensemble film, and this is an ensemble film, right? And what was really weird about Guardians was you didn't have these previous connections with the characters like you did in the Avengers, where you had,
a fresh stuff.
You had every character's backstory and just little snippets of it, and I thought it worked really well in the fact that the backstory.
I'm going to cut you off right there. Sorry about that, but let's talk about the intro.
Oh man,
how the movie started off. Okay. I thought it was a trailer for another movie. it was his mom, Star-Lord's mom, is dying. Spoiler alert. Dying.
Spoiling the beginning of the movie. Sorry, folks.
Yeah, I know, the first 5 minutes. Okay, his mom's dying, and it's this sad little boy listening to his Walkman. You know, great soundtrack, by the way.
Great soundtrack.
But to stick with the intro, his mom's dying on his bed, and he's, come here, son. And so sad and so heartbreaking.
So morbid. It was
yes.
like, you watched that, you and me both saw it twice.
Yes,
we
saw it twice.
And it was fantastic both times. But it was so morbid, even the second time around.
Yeah.
It was like, you just sat there like, you're like, oh
because
my
the lead
God.
up to it, everything I heard about it was this is going to be a comedy, this is going to be a really funny movie, like critics who had seen the movie before it was, actually released to the public, all said this was a really fun, lighthearted movie. So it starts off with this dark intro, and it kind of was like a very different feel than the rest of the movie.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy because they had that like lightheartedness sprinkled in, but it was also very, very serious storytelling. Like they had the humor, and there's one scene near the end. I'm not gonna spoil it, but there's one scene near the end where he's talking to the main antagonist, and he's not really. He's like, yeah, let's go ahead and do it my way, man. And he's just like, what the heck are you doing? And it's a really funny scene. I thought that if anyone was like, hey, I want to go see Guardians, but I don't know about it, I would say watch that scene. Best scene in the movie. What was your best scene in the movie?
Best scene, gosh, that's a tough question.
No spoilers.
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna say spoilers, but best scene in the movie. I'm gonna have to say. Okay, I don't know if it's the best scene, but one of the scenes that kind of made me giggle on the inside was when they're talking about Footloose and Kevin Bacon, and they're like, there once was a man named Kevin Bacon. And he's
none of the aliens know anything about.
Yeah, and Gamora's like, who shoved the sticks up their ass? She's so ill. Yeah. I really like that scene, and then they start dancing, and she's like, "Oh no, your pelvic thrust magic."
Your pelvic, man. Yeah, that was pretty funny. I love the Ninja Turtle reference. I'm a huge Ninja Turtle fan, and then he says, "Whoa, man, Ninja Turtles." Spoilers. It's at the beginning of the movie. Watch the movie. It's a great. But my favorite scene, the one that gave me cold chills, was actually in the trailer, which is kind of weird because most of the time, when I watch a trailer and they show a scene in it, it just ruins it for me. And I'm like, oh my God, I saw that in the trailer. But with Guardians, my favorite scene was the scene where Groot and Rocket, Drax throws Rocket the gun and says, hey, here, furry little thing.
And he jumps up on his shoulder.
He jumps up on his shoulder, and they're shooting, and Groot's fighting, and it gave me cold chills. It gave me more cold chills, honestly, than the Avengers scene at the end of the Avengers. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the Avengers, you probably need to go see the Avengers. But at the end of the big battle of the Avengers, when it shows like the panoramic shot and it's like circling around and it shows all the Avengers, like I was just like, oh man, that's my childhood right there. And then two characters that I barely knew existed. I read some of the comics, but when they were fighting the robot sentry things in the prison, that was so cool. Like that was my favorite scene in the movie.
No, we're talking about the comedy, the drama, the action. This was a beautifully told story about something completely unknown to most of the movie-going audience. And
that was great because they didn't have to. They had to set up certain expectations with the Captain America and the Thor because people grew up.
It's a Marvel movie. The Marvel brand has become, in the movie industry, the standard.
Yeah, it's a standard that every movie's hoping to shoot for. And I really love Batman. I really love Batman. And I'm hoping, the Batman versus Superman movie, I really hope that can hit the level that Marvel is. I think DC's trying to play catch up in a lot.
They've been playing catch up for years.
They've been playing catch up. They tried to start their film industry with Green Lantern. And and
we won't go into that too much.
We never speak of that. that was
yeah.
But they have this really cool dynamic universe, and a lot of times they overutilize it. Like they're throwing in little like tidbits there, and sometimes it's like, oh, that's funny. Like that's a name in a Marvel comic I read one time.
Yeah.
But with Guardians, they had the only like really big push is they're trying to get that. Spoilers, the Infinity Gauntlet storyline, they're really trying really hard to push that in the movies. And that was the only like really ties to the Marvel universe that I could see besides, the character.
Well, what it does is it sets up Infinity. It sets up an infinite amount of storylines we can now explore. And the Marvel universe, it was here, and then a lot of stuff centered around Earth. Now we have the entire the cosmic universe to talk about.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Soundtrack, amazing mix, awesome mix, Volume 1.
Mm-hmm.
Every single song was written into the script to fit the scene, and they're amazing songs.
Yeah.
James Gunn did a fantastic job of picking the soundtrack.
A lot of times, like I said in trailers, I hate the scenes that they show in trailers, and I'm like, oh my gosh, please don't show me this. But they had the Hooked on a Feeling. That was like in every TV spot.
Yeah.
And then when it came on, it was actually...
You weren't sick of it.
You weren't sick of it. And it was like, wow, we're listening to real music, not dubstep crap.
Sorry to go back to a question you asked me earlier. What was my favorite scene? I just not thought of it. Ronan's ship. I forget what it's called.
The bad guy ship number 30.
The bad guy ship number 30. It crashes down thanks to Star-Lord and Rocket and everybody. Crashes down. Groot, spoiler alert, dies. Oh my god.
Yeah.
And
so we are Groot.
And everybody's in shambles. Rocket's crying. Drax is trying to comfort him. And Ronan steps out of the dust. The last person you wanted to see. And he's about to use the Infinity Stone to wipe out all of Xandar. And Chris Pratt, such a funny guy, Star-Lord, he gets up and he starts dancing, doing the only thing he can think of. Starts dancing.
He points straight to Ronan and says, hey man, challenge you to a dance off, and starts the little dance. And
that came out of nowhere. That was a left hook.
I love it because you see it, the expression on Ronan's face too. Like he's just like, what are you doing? I'm evil. And blah. That's really, honestly, like, as much as this movie has going for it, that's really the only complaint. Spoilers.
Oh, about Ronan's character?
Yeah, Thanos is in it. Spoilers. I wasn't huge into that because I was like, oh, that's setting up. But I mean, he's part of the cosmic universe. You kind of have to.
He's the most powerful person in the universe.
Exactly. Well, except for Galactus. Now, the real Galactus, not the cloud from Fantastic Four dude.
Anyway.
But Ronan was really underdeveloped, but I didn't mind as much because the Guardians themselves were the breakout stars in this. And they were really developed characters. They had, like I said earlier, the backstories
and with all that, you don't need to mess with the system. They were pulling everything off. They didn't need to go all out with their villain. Like, you don't need the villain to run the show. Like Loki, for instance.
He's just a MacGuffin.
Loki was a really, I guess, would you consider him a really developed character?
Oh, Loki was probably the most developed character in the Marvel universe.
And he almost, drove some of the Marvel movies he was in.
Oh yeah, and we're going to talk about that in Phase 2.
In Phase 2, we'll talk about Loki. But, the villain, they didn't need a super developed villain because they had so much ground support, so much brickwork, foundation laid down.
Yeah, James, I really think, honestly, I think it was the actors who portrayed the characters really well, but I honestly think it was James Gunn's writing. For a guy who's directed like a lot of B movies and some
Slither,
yeah. There's in the background of the Collector, there's a Slither.
a ton of Easter eggs in this movie. There's a video on YouTube that talks about all the Easter eggs. Look that up because it'll make the nerdgasm go go crazy. But I think that's about all for today. Join us next time when we discuss the entirety of Phase 2. I've been Josh.
And I'm Matt. Don't forget to tickle that subscribe button. And if you guys want to see a movie for us to review, you go ahead and write it in the comments below.